Baby Seven got a friend today. I'm so excited that Gretchen, our beloved Minnie, got to make a little trek to Knoxville today, and they had a wonderful meeting. So I have more video of them two getting together, but I did want to let Dr. Ursini give y'all kind of an update, answer some in-depth questions. She actually has quite a few in here that she answers, and yeah, I'm just so excited to see him perk up for his lady. I mean, honestly, he's like a teenage boy. This is his first girlfriend.
Good afternoon. Quick update because Gretchen just showed up. So she got to UT Knoxville here safe and sound. Again, she's still settling in, obviously. So I thought today's update could be a little bit about, again, more of a horsemanship type update of how are we going to do this. And honestly, we didn't know until she came off the trailer and we kind of met her and decided how this was going to go. So typically when I introduce a new horse or a set of horses, a one-on-one is safer than, just throwing a new horse with one whole group personally. So with them, when she first got off the trailer, we let them kind of sniff through Seven's stall front. She was on a halter and lead rope. He was loose in a stall. And then we just decided that with the good arena footing, kind of let them sniff it out a little bit while we obviously still have full control of the scenario. Seven's not going to go anywhere too fast, and we can kind of get her out of the way if something does happen. But here we're just kind of letting them interact with each other, learn each other, sniff and smell. Ideally, this animal, when you're introducing a new one to a group, is kind of a middle of the pack one. For me personally, I don't really want the super dominant one that's going to be aggressive towards the new horse, and I also don't want the one that is just going to lay over and let everything happen, the super submissive one. So somebody like Gretchen to me is perfect. Obviously she's showing, he kind of nibbled on her and she said, nope, I don't like that. So she, gave to his pressure in that regard. We're not forcing them to be together at all. They can kind of do whatever they want. And then the other main thing for me, once you do finally turn two animals, new horses loose with each other, is to not have them in a space where one can get trapped. So that's where, like a rounded corner, a round pen, something like that, to not have a discrete corner in the field where one can really trap the other and they can get in a double barrel match to where one can't escape and they feel like they have to defend themselves. So that's our main goal, over the next week or so. As far as Seven specifically, I know a lot of people are worried about the left front fetlock buckling, and yeah, we are too. It's kind of a bit of a complication of his growth patterns, to where he's gotten a little restricted in that superficial digital flexor tendon. If it were the deep digital flexor tendon, we would say he has kind of a clubby foot. Very normal pattern, especially for growing quarter horses. Even this is one of actually the more normal things that he's done as he's grown. So we've changed his shoes a little bit. He's actually in more of a wedged heel to kind of stress that, so that when he does weight bear, it helps to stretch the superficial digital flexor tendon out. And we're gonna, still do some bandaging and splinting and stuff to promote relaxation of that as he stretches forward. He is gonna get one more, simple procedure similar to what he got in the front leg on his left hind next week. Again, nothing really of concern, but we're just gonna, again, still just taking small problems off the table. He's otherwise doing well. We just, again, figured it was time for him to get a little challenge with Gretchen here, and that'll be the plan going forward. One other question that could be interesting to talk about is one that Katie sent me, was a question on why do we think he was actually viable when he shouldn't have been. So when we talk about preemie foals and preemie animals and even humans, in the last part of gestation, what really matures, specifically the lungs and the protein in the lungs, what we call surfactant, is actually the stimulation to produce that is stress. So at some point, the fetus, whether it's human, dog, cat, they get their nutrient needs are actually beyond what the placenta can provide. So they experience a small bit of physiologic stress. That stimulates, again, corticosteroid production on the part of the fetus, and that stimulates maturation of the lungs. Now, the main reason that we need surfactant is when we breathe and the little air sacs in our lungs, we breathe out and they actually collapse. If we don't have that little protein fluid, that little surfactant, those two sides of the alveolus, the little air sacs, could actually get stuck together, and it's really hard to pop those back loose. So somehow, something in his gestation, even though he came early, obviously he was stressed physiologically somehow, which I'll be honest, we don't know how, because she didn't have any evidence of placentitis, no metritis, no anything like that that would indicate that, the pregnancy was having trouble. But for whatever reason, he physiologically decided to mature his lungs, which again is usually the limiting factor on is a preemie going to live or not. That's why I know a lot of Katie's followers are NICU nurses or NICU familiar. A lot of those babies are on respirators because, again, we can force those air sacs back open if they're on a ventilator or assisted breathing, things like that. So why he didn't have any lung issues, any signs of sepsis or anything like that when he was born, I don't know. Again, somewhere in his late gestation, even coming early, he had a period of physiologic stress. Now that process does happen differently in every animal. That's why we don't really like to induce horses, because we talk about Katie's, this mare usually goes 2 weeks late, this mare usually goes 2 weeks early type of thing. Noelle came a little bit early, but she obviously was matured. So something in there in those responses between the fetus and the placenta and the mom and the stimulation of parturition or birthing is all based on the signals coming from the fetus. So he obviously stimulated her through corticosteroid release and things like that he said he was ready to come out, and she spit him out. So again, we'll never really know the whole answer, but for whatever reason, he was mature enough to survive, specifically on the lung side of things. And then, musculoskeletally, we've dealt with that going forward. So I think a topic going forward is going to be on OCDs, so look for that. And if there's anything else you want us to discuss, that's where we're going to go. So other than that, fun stuff with Gretchen and Seven here for the next week, and we'll see you next week.
So again, keep your eyes out. I'm going to post a few of the videos of them meeting and kind of sniffing on each other and whatnot, but this video is long enough as it was. So let us know if you have more questions for the future. Keep praying for our boy, because even though he is doing great, he is still here a year later. There are still things he has to overcome. We still want him to live the happiest, healthiest life that he possibly can. And then we still need the wisdom to make the best choices for him. So stay tuned for the next update.